Everything I heard during the Joint Budget Task Force process and everything I've heard since then is a little bit frightening. The one statistic that stays in my mind is 3 police officers at any one time to cover the entirety of Dracut. And Dracut's, it's long. You go from 113
25 square miles.
to my end of town. It is huge.
Yeah.
And I think about a few years ago when one of our lacrosse players was hurt on the field, at the Dracut lacrosse field. And through nobody's fault, we waited quite a while for a police officer and an ambulance to show up, because just by that one chance, all 3 officers in Dracut were engaged in an accident out on 113, and we had to wait for, I don't know if it was all 3, so my apologies if I'm to the police department in Dracut if I've got those particular facts wrong. The reality is they couldn't respond as quickly as they would have liked to, not through any fault of our own, but because all of a sudden, everything happened all at once. Now, thankfully, that young man that needed attention, there's a trainer on site, and he was okay. But those are the kind of things that are frightening to me.
What's frightening for me is that if there's a domestic, they have to send 2 police officers at a time, because those
Which
are
makes
highly
absolute sense.
volatile.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that leaves 1 covering. Or if there's an arrest made and they have to book them, it's longer before they can get back out on the street. So there's numerous situations when we really are vulnerable as a community. And I'm not saying, some people say, why are you even telling that? But that did come out in the report of how the assessment of the police department. And then the firefighters, the standard is at least 3 people on a truck. And we've been running for many years, 2 on a truck. So, I know that there's been a lot of frustration if they go to something on the border of Lowell and Dracut, and Lowell shows up at the same time, and they show up with I don't know how many guys on one truck, and Dracut has 2. So it really isn't fair to them or the individuals in the community to be running. It's just an accident waiting to happen.
Right.
And
again, it's reactive versus proactive.
Yeah, and so I think that you're right that it's a good question. And the second question
addresses the needs of the school system. We've asked for an override of $560,000 for the purchase of technologies that are going to be applicable to several areas. One is the continued instruction in and with technology in our school systems. Our teachers are telling the administrators that they can't get enough of it. We have students, you probably know from your nieces, and do you have children?
I do.
So you probably know, they grew up with this and pushing buttons, and they are accustomed to that, and it's part of their world, and they learn well with it. That's just a reality, they learn well with it, number one. Number two, it takes a few years to get the kind of technology that we would like to see. There's a 3-year plan that money would go for. And one of the pieces of that would be, and I never say this correctly, voice over internet protocol, which is the ability for the schools to talk to one another.
Can I say voice, VoIP for short? That's what it stands for.
And every time I try to use those letters, I put them in the wrong order. So I have to say the whole thing out. And right now, our phone system is such, I'll give you an example. I called the superintendent's office last week for, I forget even why. And the woman that answered the phone, and she good morning, Dracut School System. I said, hi, this is Betsy Murphy. And she said, hello? Hello? I said, hi, Melanie, it's Betsy. And then she eventually hung up. So I called back again. Same thing happened over again. And I went, okay. That happens in our schools. And that's a real concern of mine, if for no other reason, for safety reasons. Because God forbid, I don't know how familiar you are with the setup of a large part of our campus off of Lakeview Avenue is the high school and 3 schools that are aligned, and I know, obviously I know you are. God forbid something should happen at the Brookside School, which is the last school in that, and they can't communicate with the Anglesby, or the high school, or the superintendent's office, or first responders. That's frightening.
Betsy, how good is the cell phone service?
How good is the cell phone service?
Yeah,
It's intermittent depending on where you are and what carrier you have.
because that's what you have to depend on.
Well, we shouldn't have to.
That's where, but realistically, that's where the phone companies are going.
For
They're
right
going to
now.
wireless.
So right now, yeah.
They're
The
going to
other-
wireless. They're going to the internet phone, and they're going for wireless.
And
They don't
we-
want to. They don't want to service the copper lines anymore that we had,
Mm-hmm.
that I had when I was a kid. You had when you were a kid. They don't want to service them anymore. And what we have to do is to encourage the cell phone companies to put towers in areas, so we have excellent coverage everywhere we go.
Sage Records coverage is better than it was
Yeah.
when I first met Mike 20 years ago, 20-something years ago.
It's
It's better.
improving. It's improving, but it needs more improvement.
I don't disagree with you. And the other part of the reason we asked for this particular, the monies for this particular item, technology, is this is how I looked at it, and I still look at it, is we will receive a rebate for the amount of monies we spend on technology, and all I could think of was like your 401k plan. I don't want to leave money on the table. We get monies back from that we can use to hire the adjustment counselors that we need, that we can use to hire more elementary school teachers, because our numbers are higher than we'd like to see, particularly at the Greenmount Avenue Elementary School. So to me, it was a win-win. We get the kind of technology that we need for our school district, and the monies that we have.
What's the rebate? How much do you know?
It's a percentage of how much you spend on technology. So again, don't hold me to these exact numbers, but if you spend $550,000, you will end up with $750,000, meaning there'll be $200,000, something like that, in the rebate. So $550,000 turns into $750,000, if that makes any sense.
It does.
We worked very hard as a school committee to identify the needs that were the most important. Also recognize the fact that we're asking people to spend more of their money. So
Well,
try to be
it's-
reasonable about what we're asking for and the way we went about asking for it.
I think the justification is about spending more money on education is much way better than spending money on the prison system.
I don't disagree with you.
That's always been my advocacy is regarding to that. So in terms of your safety issue that you brought it up earlier, something came to mind, and you did bring up, there's like if there's a borderline between Lowell and Dracut, and you know the multi-jurisdiction folks come in and help out. Maybe this is my thought. I always thought that the Twin Cities, especially the border cities, should always have some sort of articulation agreement between the two. If there's some sort of short of resources, they can be able to go ahead at the upper echelons and like said, hey, we're short of resources. If that ever happened, can we be able to call you guys to come in and help us out?
I think
Which we do.
firefighters have mutual aid, don't
We do have
they?
mutual aid, and
I agree
I
with you.
guess there's the gentleman agreement to, there's a written agreement, but there's also the gentleman agreement not to utilize. And that's one of the things that we've seen with Dracut, with Lawrence. Lawrence made a lot of cutbacks under a prior mayor of the firefighters. And Dracut was going to support Lawrence numerous times. And it was only because they made cuts in those areas and they continued to have issues, and we'd continue to have to go out. I have to say Lowell has been great working with Dracut. Dracut responds to Lowell
Yay,
at
Lowell.
times, and
That's right, yeah, Lowell.
Dracut responds to Tingsboro and vice versa. So the firefighters have a great
Methuen too,
response,
correct? I
yeah.
think Methuen in particular.
Right, so those do work, but you don't want to overutilize. So,
I want us to be able to take care of ourselves too.
yeah.
So this MOU, it's great to have, I suspect, and it's great that, thank you for elaborate on the MOU, what I call it MOU, Memorandum of Understanding between the border cities and so forth. It is great. And the second one I wanted to help addressing you in technology, I guess I've been in technology for over 20 years. And now I'm working under the guideline of the operational risk in terms of disaster recovery, in terms of technologies and so forth. And I think the contingency planning that you're looking at, like John said, the city needs to reach out to a lot of these technology companies, which they invested billions of dollars into upgrading the infrastructures itself. But I think to using any voice over IP, I think you're probably easier to say that voice over IP.
I probably am.
Yeah, it is much easier. Voice over IP is more as a rhyme thing. that infrastructure needs to upgrade regardless.
It
Because
does.
it's definitely is going to play a lot of helpful in terms of classroom environment itself. Because the classroom technology upgrade, you're talking about the iPad, any of the tablet PCs that's going to go in, or laptop that you presented to the students, and the teacher's going to use such thing as like a chalkboard type of thing. It's a much more interactive in the classroom. You remember when we all used to be in high school or school when the teacher bringing this big TV in.
Oh, yes.
Or
And it was strapped on so it wouldn't fall off the car
Right,
and kill
and then-
somebody.
I always loved that aspect. I said, hey, we're going to get to watch
Your kids like technology.
It
They
is.
just do.
Right. Now, the kids can be able to validate and say, well, Mr. Smith, what you're saying there is not what they're saying on some of these video that they're showing. And Mrs. Smith said, no, that's not. And it's like, well, let's watch this screen here. This is what we are aligning. Because sometimes when I was running for that school committee for City Law, I was told that one of the books was still being used that was published in 1991. My goodness, that was the year I graduated from Law High School. And I said, I can't believe they're still using that. By having these PDF electronic book, I think number one is much easier if we only just have to pay for the, the
License?
The online version of it
yeah.
and the license for it.
Thank you, that is what I was looking for, the license. I think, because we only have to pay what? If we only have to pay $20 per license per students per year, I think the overall cost is probably much cheaper than paying like.
Textbooks are very expensive.
Yes, yes.
And you're right, they're outdated very quickly.
Right,
Yeah.
and then you have to purchase a new book again that costs over $100, and then you multiply that by 2,000 students, and you get the number right there, right? If we only have to pay $15 per license, multiply by that, 200-300 students that have to use it, the number will cut down more than 75%.
Excuse me, Kim, Betsy's got to go. She's got to go to
That's
real
it.
work.
I know, it goes fast, doesn't
She's
it?
got real work, so.
Yes.
Yeah.
She does. She has some more job. I appreciate
So Betsy, we're
for
going to
that.
give you the last word, then you're going to skedaddle, or how long, what's good for you?
Are you asking me if I need to leave now?
You said you wanted to leave at 6:45.
I do, I have to, yeah.
So I'm going to give you the last word, then I'm going to change the screen, and you're going to
Okay, well,
skedaddle.
it's been a lovely morning. I really enjoyed meeting you.
The pleasure's
And
mine.
of course, I always enjoy spending time with you.
Thank you.
And it's nice to be able to talk to somebody who's so knowledgeable about Drake It
Oh, thank
and really understand the nuances of what we're trying to do. I really look forward to working with everybody in town to try to get both these ballot questions passed. I think they're reasonable. I know that we're asking people for more money, and that's never a pleasant position in which to find oneself.
How
But
much
it's
is
for
it going
good
to cost
reason.
the average family?
It depends.
The
There's a
household.
grid, and I think it's still, oh Lord in heaven, is it on the town website? It goes by your house value, and the average house value, if memory serves, on that grid is $290 in Drake It. So for this amount of money, was it $50 or $100 a year? I forget
think
which.
it's 100.
I think it's $100 for both.
Both, yeah.
So, I mean, $100 is a lot of money, I understand, but it's a good investment of monies, in my opinion, so.
Billy Gray wants to talk to you. He didn't know you were leaving
Oh, hi, Mr. Gray.
Hi, Betsy. How are you? Hi, Carly.
Hi.
How are you too?
Good.
I'd just like to say, before Betsy leaves, am I still there, John?
Yep.
Yep, you're here, yep.
Okay, I just want to say, Betsy, before you leave, I want the people in Drayton to know that a year ago when I had contacted you
Yeah,
over a bully incident in Drayton,
Yep.
and I have never met you personally, that you promptly got on the situation at the junior high school. You called me back the same day, then you spoke to the superintendent and called back.
Did we lose him?
did we lose Mr. Gray?
Uh,
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought we lost you for a second. Well, thank you very much,
No,
Mr. Gray, for saying
I
that.
just wanted to comment on you, the way you handled the situation at the junior high school on the bullying situation, how you got back to me so quickly.
Oh,
that
thank you.
day And the next day, and you followed up on it. I want the people of Drayton to know that.
Oh, that was very kind.
Because sometimes you get calls, you call all different school committee or selectmen and that. You might not even hear back from, or you might hear it a week later, which is too late, but you were very prompt on that.
Oh, thank you.
So I want to thank you.
We take
And,
bullying very seriously.
Right, and I understand that. And I also want to thank Pauline for all she's done for the town.
Yeah, with
Thank
good
you.
reason.
That both you women will have my total support in the upcoming election.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you very much, Bill.
Thank you both for your time.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you,
you,
Bill.
sir.
Take care.
Should I hit hang up?
Bye now.
We're gonna let you go, Betsy.
And I hung up on Mr. Gregg.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Very
Really
good.
enjoyed-
Mama, you talk too much, you talk too much, you talk too much. Mama, you talk too much, you get on my banana. Mama, you're really got, you're really got, you're really got. Mama, you're really got, you get on my banana.
Mama, would you buy me out? Would you buy me out? Would you buy me out? Mama, would you buy me out? Would you buy me a banana? Mama, would you buy me out? Would you buy me out?
Okay, we're gonna get a little bit longer of a break than I thought, so we're gonna run these pictures. Where's Mr. Pictures? Okay. Let's just go with this guy. Now, the next picture I want to just show you in the back is Leslie Boda. You can just see her picture. A lot of people want to know what she looks like. That's Leslie Boda right there. And I'm not gonna say any more. These are the pictures from last night's party.
Sing, Irishmen, sing some song that your voices will ring, and let the world know that it really is so. Sing, Irishmen, sing. I dream of that beautiful picture. No more need we think of the past. They're singing and dancing in Ireland, and the people are happy at last. The sound of the gunfire is missing. The rifle will bring no more pain. They're singing and dancing in Ireland, and the people are happy again. Sing, Irishmen, sing some song that your voices will ring, and let the world know that it really is so. Sing, Irishmen, sing. There's laughter in Belfast and Derry. You'll hear it ring out in the air. Through Cavan, Kilkenny and Kerry, through Leitrim, Mayo and Kildare. No more need the little ones suffer. There's sunshine where once there was rain. They're singing and dancing in Ireland, and the people are happy again. Sing, Irishmen, sing some song that your voices will ring, and let the world know that it really is so. Sing, Irishmen, sing.
And we're back, and Camera K, you're the only guest surviving right now. So we were just talking about things that are coming up, and I wanted to put it out there that we were talking about young Matt Boulay, who was an Army specialist who died 13 years ago in a Black Hawk helicopter crash in Iraq, the first Massachusetts and New England man killed in the Iraq War. There's a benefit tomorrow for the park. I have to say I'm very proud of the organization and the community and the greater Lowell community, where we started the fundraising in August, and we're up over $30,000 so far. And we're hoping to get this park open this year. It'll be phase 1 of 2 phases. The second phase is it's on Lakeview Avenue along the Beaver Brook brook, and part of what we want to do is some work with the brook so people can fish there and children can fish. But because of the Rivers Act and all of that, a lot of the things on the river itself, the brook, will have to be delayed till next year. But we want to get the park and the monument up this year. So there is a benefit tomorrow at the boathouse at Lake Muscuppick on the Drake-Tingsboro border. There's several bands that are going to be there. There's a ton of raffles, and it starts at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I think it goes till 8, but it's going to be another benefit for that if people are interested to look on Facebook. We have the specialist, Army Specialist Matthew G. Boulay page, memorial page, and you're invited to come. It should be another great event. We've had so much support. It's amazing to me. After 22 years in office and 8 years prior to that working for Johnny Cox when he was the state rep, being involved in the community all this amount of time, to see one organization raise so much money so quickly, it's very heartwarming. And we're getting donations from all over the Commonwealth, from Elks clubs and VFWs and just individuals. So it's really nice to know that his sacrifice is remembered and honored. It's very helpful to the family, and so tomorrow that's what's going on. So you are running for state representative in the 18th Middlesex District.
Correct.
You ran for school committee before.
Correct.
What do you want to accomplish as a state representative?
Before we continue,
Yep.
may I ask the spelling of Matthew?
It's
Last name.
Boule.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there will going to be a fundraising for the memorial for
Right.
him tomorrow at 2 p.m. to 8 p.m.
At
I
the
just want-
boathouse.
At the boathouse.
Yeah.
Okay. For the city of Lowell, I think we need to involve more of getting to know with our sister cities and so forth. I think it's great because I have always have so much respect for those who serve and sacrifice their lives for the country, for the very freedom that we have in the United States, regardless of what of anyone else think of the military, military personnel in the United States. I cannot even begin to fathom, not just in the United States, anyone who actually put in a uniform to be able to sacrifice, knowingly that they get deployed somewhere, they're never going to come home.
Right.
I mean, I can't even begin to fathom that. So back to your question.
Yes. Thank you.
What do I look to accomplish? I think the very core foundations I'm looking at is always, of course, it's going to be education. I firmly believe that education is the very foundations to all the civilization that has been formed. Because without education, we're going to have a very difficult time in terms of communication, a cognitive reasoning, we develop as a coherent city, town, state, country, and so forth in order to move forward. Because without that education, we cannot be able to comprehend how can we be able, to the lack of a better word, think outside of the box. And we can always have to go back, and it's like without education, there's no improvement. Without research and development in terms of education, there's no improvement into how can we do better in terms of developing technology, developing economic prosperity and so forth. So everything will be surrounding based on the educations that we should be focusing on. And Betsy said earlier that she looking the opportunity to have improvement in technology in the classroom. And there you go, another technology, thinking outside the box. How do we cater education to a more demanding of students? Is that our students is thinking about the 21st century development in terms of the educations. We, as educators, still believe that the 20th century is a way of educating our students. Why would students want to carry around 3 to 4 books? You remember those 3 to 4 books?
Yeah.
And we just weigh like a gazillion ton. It's just like a bag hurting on that. And now, all they do is just carry an iPad or a tablet PC or a laptop. One of that, they can just go in the classroom, they just open up for whatever the curriculum or for whatever the class happened to be. They can be able to open up the chalkboard technology and then the chapter that they had individually. They can be able to go ahead and look at that and read on it and be able to discuss. And some of the challenges that they have, or some of the questions they have in the particular chapter, be as in mathematics or any type of subject, they can be able to go ahead and question the teacher by either raise their hand or just type in the questions. They can be able to project right away into that classroom. The teacher can be able to see it. And so, you know, some students be like shy, don't want to do any of those. They can be able to go ahead and send some sort of text messages to the teacher and ask them that questions. So that question can be addressed right away. So the core fundamental principles behind my campaign, I like to think of it looking at, not just to think that I want education to be the core principle behind all of that campaign. And so, because I firmly believe in it, because there's no question about it, and people often ask me, said, how do I get to where I am? As a former refugee, and on my Facebook page, every Thursday I do a throwback Thursday TBT. And so, started in 1979. That's the first of the pictures that I have in memory when after we got out from the Khmer Rouge regime. I don't know if you know anything about the Khmer Rouge regime.
Not as much as I should know. Maybe you can.
The Khmer Rouge regime is one of the most genocidal regime that killed over 2 million people by starvation, killing anyone who wear glasses, anyone who have a different complexions, anyone who look smart, anyone who look intelligent or speak intelligent enough will be killed, or any of those, all type of aspect. And so, and when I got to the United States,
How old were you when you got here?
oh my goodness, preteen, teenage years probably in 1982. So we spent about, when I said we're talking about my family, I'm sure the rest of most of the Cambodians who are living throughout the United States were once of refugees. And we lived through all those camps along the Thai-Cambodian border into various refugee camps, either that ended up in Philippines or ended up in Indonesia, those in Thailand and all that before getting to the United States or France or any other country that were willing to accept those refugees. So education has always been the backbone to my success. And I like to display that by telling them, like, I graduated from Lower High in 91. So I went off to college at Norwich University in Vermont. And so I got here in 1982. So 1991, I'm already in a college, which has happened to be a military school. Can you imagine the culture shock that I have to go through? And so being disoriented in adjusting to the cadet life, the uniform life, and so forth. And then from that point on, I had to go and then go into my lifespan, beginning my own career from that point on. It was a lot of learning adjustment. For one thing that I found out in terms of my growth is go through education, by meaning reading a lot of books and trying to be aware of what's going on in surrounding. And this is part of the reason why nowadays that I hardly watch any televisions, but reading a lot of news. It doesn't matter what type of news it is, like be it from Yahoo News, Google News, CNN, NBC, Fox, you name a variety of
Lowell Sun.
Lowell Sun, thank you. I have not subscribed to the Lowell Sun, but I have subscribed myself to the Education Week, which I'm not sure if Betsy knew about it. The Education Week magazine, it has a plethora of information in terms of what's going on in the education realm in the United States. It is so fascinating, bless you, to read all of that. So from that point on, I went on and get my master's degree in 2004. And right now, I'm a doctoral candidate in information security and all that I'm looking at the aspects. So I'm suspending that school right now to concentrate on the campaign and work-related issues. So as you can see, the passion that I have in education. When I was running for the school committee, I found out that my suspicion as a program chair, as we speak in the early hour, was that there's a lot of preparations that were lacking. And then I had the opportunity to reflect what was going on during my high school years, the way I was learning in comparison to what our students today are learning, and how they are adjusting their life skills into college level and into the workforce environment. So by preparing our teachers, our educators, we will definitely have all of that. So, excuse me, that is Vietnam Ruin is calling, John. I'm just going to go ahead and pick it up.
Oh, do we need
Would
to
that
do
be
it?
okay?